What's up, y'all? Back at it once again. It's Coach Kid Fun Day kicking it for you and for yours. And you know what I'm saying? First of all, I'd like to give a shout out to you for watching, you know what I'm saying? Doing what you do with the videos and whatnot. I appreciate you. And also give a shout out to my ancestors, man. Give me the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to bring this stuff to you because, you know, it's crazy times out here. So, you know, you got to document this stuff for the babies, you know what I'm saying? For future generations. That's why sometimes I become more, you know, off the wall history. So, you know, or less spoke, I should say off the wall, but less spoke about history. Such as this group right here. And that's a part 3 of the series, Drum, the Vanguard of the Black Revolution. And part 1, we talked about the history of drum, the purposes and the aims. You know what I'm saying? It's part 3 of that journey. I learned about these brothers in Detroit and sisters that formed a union in the Dodge main factory in the Hamtramck. And when the time came about, you know, history gave them an opportunity to go put it for the trustee position. And so that's what they did when one of the trustees passed away. And they caught so much flack, but they led many things, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to get deeper into this. We're going to get into part 3 of this. All right, part 3, the butcher shop. The Hamtramck so-called hospital is no better than your butcher shop. The butcher shop will kill an animal quick, but the pig doctors will prolong black people's pain forever if they could. It is very similar to a German concentration camp hospital. These so-called pig doctors are no more than stooges with a hunky general foreman like Wild Bill, Jimmy Briggs, Dick Guttis, and Joe Sharon. These offbeat, cast-off pig quacks are coming very close to adding maybe and murder to their crimes against black people. There are complaints coming from into drone, like our black brothers in apartment 9160, who had the Hong Kong flu. His foreman refused to let him go to the first aid for over an hour, claiming he was short of help. After the nurse took his temperature and sent him to see the doctor had already been called by our black brother, General Foreman, and was told him to send him back to work. When the brother got back, he told the foreman he just could make it, and he had to see the doctor. Our brother left work and went straight to his doctor's office, where he fell on the floor. The doctor told him that he had a new flu and was close to having pneumonia. After our black brother went to the first aid one day to have a swollen ankle checking out, on this day there was only one nurse in the place. She told one of the black sisters who was suffering pains in her leg and stomach that this is a factory first aid and she could quit coming to the first aid every time she got a pain. When she got back to our black brother, she couldn't figure out why his ankle had swollen up, even though he told her that he was a truck driver and long hours of standing aggravated on this cut on his foot. She called for the butcher. The fat pig stuck his head out the door, looking at the ankle and said, "Put some medication on him and send him back to work." Last week, a black sister fell down the steps. Her stupid hunky foreman didn't want her to go to the first aid. The Hamtramck first aid sent her to Ford Hospital for an x-ray. When she got back, she was slightly fractured wrist and bruised leg and hip. The nut at the so-called hospital sent her back to work and put her on a slip doing left-hand work on a sit-down job. And there are many others. Black brothers in the 50s whose back strain was so much he couldn't walk. They could not let him go home, and he was not off work for 2 to 3 months. The sister in the cut and sew, who had sugar diabetes and accidents to overdose of medicine, she was sent back to work. There are many other cases that could fill this whole paper. We black workers can no longer bear the brunt of outrageous medical practices carried out by the white racist doctors, nurses, and corporate policymakers at the medical centers here at Hamtramck Assembly Plant and the Hoover Foundry. Let us prepare to move in mass against this medical policy. We would be better off treating each other than being toyed with by these white racists. Down with racist doctors, down with racist nurses, down with racist medical practice. Join Drum. Lapdogs. Lapdogs on the rise. We must move forward. Drum has been in existence about 6 months now at Hamtramck Assembly Plant. Our overall program, as outlined previously, is Destroy Racism at the Hand Trafficking Assembly Plant in the UAW Local 3. Our method for carrying out the program is to expose the truth and to forge black unity. With a body of united black workers, we should be able to wipe out every vestige of racism wherever it may exist. The foremost obstacle standing in our way at this time are the notorious Uncle Toms in our midst. It must be understood that our history of most of the revolutionary struggles of the black people failed because the traitors were from within. Therefore, Uncle Tom's present are ever-present dangers to drum, to the black worker, to the black community at large, and are in ever danger to themselves because they are obviously unaware of the seriousness of which we have launched our just struggles. Since drum hasn't been in existence, we black workers have suffered many abuses. We have been fired on by the trumped-up charges. We have been fired on trumped-up charges. We have been attacked in parking lots behind the bars by fascist Polish pigs of the Hamtramck Police Department. We have been locked in Union Hall and have been beaten and have mace in our eyes by those same pigs. Our brothers have been run down by these same pigs on motorcycles. We have been gently harassed by white-controlled racist UAW officials. We have been intimidated by white racist plant protection guards, and we have had an election stolen from us. Also, we have other forces making undercover moves in our name. Categories in our name. Brothers and sisters, we have remained patient and disciplined in the face of those barriers and sufferings. We have relied upon you to decide our course of action and understanding that our suffering helps you to understand the vicious, corrupt elements whom we are struggling against. We must prepare to attain new guards for our future security. We must prepare now and become psychologically set to deal with the times in whatever manner the masses of black people so deem. Uncle Toms are traitors. They will sell us out for 30 pieces of silver and keep us divided. They give subsequent aid to our enemies by speaking our own on the Hunky's behalf. As drama attempts to flesh out all the Uncle Toms, it becomes more difficult all the time. For by exposing Uncle Toms, we have forced some of them to go underground, and at the same time forced Hunkies to pay top dollar to have some of their own so-called brothers denounce drum. Because of the above facts, Uncle Toms are so diverse that it's become increasingly more difficult to keep track of them. We have Uncle Toms timing in the black community and snitching on the plant level. We have Tom snitching at the so-called Solidarity House. We have Tom snitching on the plant level at Hamtramck Assembly Plant, Huber Foundry, and Local 3. We have Tom snitching on the department level inside the plant. We have out-of-sight Toms, Uncle Toms, who stand up in front of the savior for white racism. We have off-the-wall Toms, who stand up and support some more off-the-wall Toms. It takes time philosophically to design the right against the black struggle. We have sneaky Toms, and these, in many ways, are the most dangerous Toms. They go around with natural hair speaking about black unity and thereby gaining access to information which they could not normally get. It is obvious with the out-of-sight community and the so-called Solidarity House, Uncle Toms, and sneaky department level Toms, it is difficult keeping track of these various Toms. That drum has devised a method, a Tom chart. We suggested all of our black brothers make a sample copy of this sample Tom chart, so that when one of the names pop up, you would know what this kind of bag he's playing out of. You may also find it necessary to add names to it, and whenever some of these Toms come up missing, you would know what happened to them and why. Join drum. Now, this is the list they came up with over here called the Tom chart, you know what I'm saying? And added, like I said, they said the out-of-sight Toms, the off-the-wall Toms, and the sneaky Toms. And, you know, that's the kind of list they made, the ones they considered that was detrimental to the black community. Categories of Toms. Historically, one of the main obstacles to black liberation has been Uncle Tom's. Drum, in the course of the struggle, has come up against a host of Toms of every description. To combat Thomism in every way, former chart was devised whereby Toms could be properly classified. And there you have it. So they got department level Toms, plant level Toms, and community house Toms. So they went up the chain with the different names. Getting our history straight. To enlighten the black worker his true history, Drum carried this article in 23 issues of the newsletter, of the 23rd issue of the newsletter. History as follows. The day the slave ship entered in America, our history ended and its story began. Like everything else, the white racist power structure had lied about the true history of the black worker. Negro history leads us to believe that some were used or field Negroes, and the ones that did the hardest work, picking the cotton and etc., wore the raggedy clothes and ate the worst food, and the rest of us were house Negroes, the one with the lightest jobs, cleaning the master house, who wore the best clothes and ate the best food. This is far from the truth. Negro slaves were employed in the foundries as foremen, blacksmiths, and founders. They were used in both mine, both coal and ore. They worked alongside waterfront as longshoremen. With the exception of conductor, they worked on every railroad in every capacity, including locomotive engineer. They piloted steamboats. They piled on southern waters. They even used some extent as hands in textile mills and formed large personal workers in tobacco factories. These facts can be found in The Black Worker by Sterling D. Shapiro and Abraham L. Harris. This is not all. In the same book, it said a number of black workers skilled in crafts such as carpentry, masonry, blacksmith, and other mechanical trades. Why would a hunky permit slaves, black workers to change jobs that sometimes fellow hunkies couldn't do? As long as they couldn't get. The answer is simple. In The Black Worker, the answer is spelled out. Master found it easier and cheaper to have their slaves trained in carpentry, masonry, blacksmithing, and other mechanical trades than depend on outside white free labor. The hunky even got further and far out than that. Many masters regarded their skilled slaves as a profitable source of income, and instead of keeping them on a plantation to serve mechanical needs of the establishment, sent them to practice their trades in the city. History is best qualified to reward all research. Black workers should be able to see in 1968 that his story is repeating itself in the racist U.A.W. It is a fact that black people just didn't pick cotton during slavery, and that black people did work on so-called good jobs then. But we must keep in mind why. The only reason the hunky permitted blacks to do these jobs was because it was easier for him to do so. It was not because he loved black people. If you don't doubt what the writer says, check this out. During slavery, the hunky insisted on employing his slaves in whatever manner he found profitable. If blacks were not indeed on a plantation, they were rented out to dig ditches. If blacks were too weak to stand the strain of working in the fields, they were sent to the cotton mill and attend looms and spindlets. In racist America, black workers have progressed only when they're profitable for the hunky or when the world pressure was put on Americans during the time of war. Black people can work when the hunky is at war, but as soon as the war is over, we're right back out in the streets. Brothers and sisters are not getting better. These things are getting worse. Black worker unite with Drum or perish. Quiet as it kept. Black workers pay about 1/4 of the dues to the racist U.A.W. There are only about 75. Only about 75 black international representatives out of a total of more than 1,000. 2. The Afro-American, in his mind, still torn by the welter of slavery, was first forced to enter this country's major industries as strike breakers. He had no genuine choice and could hardly have foreseen the tragic consequences. In the early 1880s, Afro-Americans were imported from the South to help to break steel strikes in Pittsburgh. They are later employed as strike breakers in Kansas and the Illinois coal mines. In 1894, they came to Chicago meatpacking plants as strike breakers, and that's all black workers were used for were strike breakers. 3. It is a fact that black workers could not get into the auto plant largely because white auto workers were unable to call sustained strikes. For where strike breakers were not needed, blacks were seldom ever wanted. 4. The UAW has always been racist. The only reason UAW lied and pledged themselves to non-discriminatory practice was because they feared black workers might again be used as strike breakers. Not because the racist UAW wanted to uplift black workers, as the racist UAW want black workers to believe. These are the few reasons brothers and sisters must unite and take drum, which is the role. So they must unite and take drum, which is the road. Historically, the auto industry betrayed black workers. Black workers must unite with drum now or perish. So hey, Tom, you got to do what you got to do. We're going to hold it off right there, you know what I'm saying? But this is going to get a lot more interesting because we got a lot more people we got to talk about and bring in here that was trying to go against these people or trying to work with these people. That's not really talked about. But, that's what we do in Black History up here, passing it down to the babies. And that's a pretty good thing, the time list. We should invest in that, you know what I'm saying? Keep that stuff going. You know what I'm saying? Point these people out who's not being righteous to the community. Because that's the only way the community is going to get righteous. Anyway, I'm a coach, get funny, showing much love to you and yours. You know what I'm saying? Peace, be safe out there. You know what I'm saying? And love yourself. Peace.